Welcome to a new lecture where we'll take this image and move some of these people around. This is going to be done through the Content Aware Move tool. You can get it from your toolbox. It's usually hidden underneath the Spot healing brush. When you select it, you'll see this cursor, and if you click and drag, it will act similarly to the lasso tool. This means you'll need a pretty steady hand if you're to use it like this. Here's how it works. In the options bar, I have two main modes. I can either move an element or I can extend it, which means I'll create another copy. Let me copy this seagull. I'll roughly create a selection for it. Now I'll drag it to another part of my canvas. Now, depending on your settings, you might get a different result, and that's because these two controllers are fairly important for this tool. The color slider adjusts how much you're willing to let Photoshop change the colors from your initial selection. Here I'm getting some sky elements, so if I have this set at 0, that means Photoshop will create a copy without changing the colors at all. This will of course result in a duplicate that's not blended into its surroundings. But if I crank it up to 10, this looks much better. Of course, you might still get some issues here and there, but those can be corrected with various tools. For the structure setting, I'll use this skater that's hovering in mid-air to show you what's what. I'll drop it to its lowest value, change the mode to move, and now I'll roughly grab my skater. I'm not worried about precision, as Photoshop will do a pretty good job in identifying what I want moved. Here's the thing. This setting controls how much the program is allowed to modify my selection in order to match it to its new spot. In this case, a value of 1 will give me a weird outcome. Please note that it sometimes takes Photoshop a while to process the changes, so you have to be patient. Okay, this isn't what I'm looking for. Let me undo with Ctrl Z and I'll crank it up to 10. I'll also enable Transform on Drop, which will enable me to resize my subject once it's moved. Okay, here you go. Now I can grab this corner handle and I'll resize it while holding down Shift. Once I hit OK, we can see how this is looking much better with a higher structure value. In essence, when you're dealing with a well-contoured subject, whether it's a person, a car, a ball, or anything else that's solid, a higher value in this structure field will work better. Let's switch tabs and I'll show you how I prefer to work with it. Grab the Quick Selection tool and let's paint over this Santa figurine. This is going to go fast because we have a pretty clear contrasting background. Now switch to the Content Aware Move tool and notice your selection is still active. That's because we can use this feature on any type of selection. That means you don't have to rely on your lasso tool skills to create a good outline. Plus, this also helps the Content Aware Move tool do a better job on well-defined objects. Here, I'll have it set to Extend, and I'll use the maximum structure value, and for the color, I'll set it at 0. Click and drag. Now hold Shift to move it in a perfectly straight line. Because I have Transform on Drop active, once I position it on the left side, I'll right-click it and I'll choose Flip Horizontally. Hit the check mark and we're good to go. Now, if you experiment with these sliders, you'll see how they work and why this combination produced the best results. That's quite disturbing. And if I increase the color slider, that will also make the copy look worse. Overall, that's how the Content Aware Move tool works. It's great when you want to create a copy of an element from the canvas, but it also works well for repositioning things. Try it out and see how you can benefit from it. My advice is that you first use a selection tool rather than relying on its lasso-like capabilities.